Here we are, we're gathering at the park here to begin our art tour of the Odette Sculpture Garden. And we should be on our way pretty soon. And we'll have video of the presentations at each sculpture.
Okay, troops, let's gather around. I think we're gonna get the party started. First of all, thanks for coming out, everybody. It's a beautiful day. Thanks for carving out some time to come and participate in this event. I hope that you're all excited to be a part of this event. This is an event which is global in scope. So today, September 24th, there are over 2,000 events happening in over 175 countries. This is organized by a group called 350.org, and the day is called Moving Planet. So all over the planet, groups are swimming, biking, marching, flying kites, running, all finding ways to move beyond fossil fuels. That's our common goal. So we are joining our voices with thousands of other people to say no to our dependence on fossil fuels. And we are standing for several things. This is not just for the exercise or just for the fresh air. We're standing for 100% renewable energy, zero carbon emissions, and leaving fossil fuels in the ground. So I was looking at the photos from some of the events today, and they had signs that said, coal is over if you want it. Solar is here if you want it. Wind is here if you want it. And we support those initiatives. We stand in opposition to the Keystone XL pipeline. Yes. We stand in opposition to the Alberta tar sands. Yes. And to the Marathon refinery just across the way, whose fumes we're breathing in currently as they pipe the oil, dirty Canadian oil from the tar sands to Detroit to be refined. We're breathing the effects of that. So it's not simply that we're Canadian and the tar sands are happening in Canada. We are also experiencing the direct results of the refining process. Just a few more things I want to say here. We stand for finding creative paths to reduce carbon emissions. We stand for human health, for animal health, for the health of our ecosystems, for our habitats, for the planet. And we stand for political integrity as we move beyond fossil fuels. So on our walk today, you can expect to learn about a lot of the different aspects of climate change and a lot of the ways that climate change is affecting the planet. At each of the sculptures, there will be a 2 to 3 minute long presentation to give information about one of the different aspects of climate change. If you have a burning question or a point that you'd like to make, we encourage you to do that. As you can see, we've got a PA system on wheels. And there are several gaps in between the sculptures, and we can hopefully have a little bit of discussion. But that being said, we're going all the way to the bridge and back. So we will like to have a proper discussion when we finish the tour at Fog Lounge on University Ave. And then we'll have the time to actually get into some discussion, which will be followed by some food and drinks, some music, perhaps poetry. I heard potentially there will be some poetry. So, with that in mind, we're going to get started. Let's have fun, guys. Let's get moving, Windsor. Let's go for it. I'm going to gesture over to it. If everyone can look and see the big flying UFO spaceship. And I'd like to present our first announcer, who is Mr. Howard Pauly, former Premier of Manitoba. Okay. Thanks, Howard.
Hey, Howard. Thank you very much, Susie.
Can you hold it for him if he needs it?
The sculpture of a 1950 style flying saucer is called Craft and was created by Ben Schmidt. Today I want to talk about a more complex spacecraft, the planet Earth. Changes are taking place, sweeping aside old political and economic certainties. Our grandchildren will see changes, recognize changes beyond any of our understandings today. However, we are in one form or another also experiencing the downside of today's so-called progress. We are being caught up in some kind of whirlpool, tossed this way and that way by forces we no longer control. Canadians are finding themselves increasingly vulnerable, more so than any other previous era in Canadian history. In this global era, one of the most explosive issues confronting us is whether we can successfully reduce the appalling level of pollution throughout the world. Despite the gigantic social and economic changes, we are not powerless. We can survive. Human beings are capable in this new global age of advancing at a pace equal to the scientific and technological revolution. We can build a world that reflects social and moral values. We can have the courage to build a just society, the one our forefathers fought so hard to achieve. Will governments at the federal and provincial government levels act? Will they? We'll see. On both sides of the border, cancers, respiratory disease, developmental disorders, and a general decline in the already serious health problems due to bad air, water, pollution, soil contamination from industrial sites are inflicting environmental degradation of our health. Where is Canada on all this? Where is Canada on the international scene? We bow our heads in shame. It was a European statesman, Jean Monnet, who said, people only accept change when they are faced with necessity. And they only recognize necessity when a crisis is upon them. The future quality of life for humankind depends upon the type of decisions we make as Canadians, as members of the world community. Kenneth Boulding points out in his classic essay, The Economics of Becoming Spacecraft Earth, that today's woes are rooted in acting like cowboys on a limitless open frontier. Cowboys lived in a sparsely populated area. Opportunities for them were limitless. The presumption the gain of one person wiped out opportunity for another was regarded as nonsense. In a wild frontier, a sense of community was not necessary then. The culture itself honored the individual, rewarded those that plundered most the earth's riches. However, we've learned we are no longer in an endless frontier. The better model today is a spacecraft. We are all members of the human crew, hurtling through space with limited supplies. Everything must be shared, must be recycled. Nothing can be wasted. Surely the test of our survival is not how fast the crew consumes its limited stores, but how effective they are in maintaining and sharing their supplies with their neighbors. The neighbors that are on the ship with them. Nobody is left behind. Survival is no longer achieved by outrunning our friend. We can only survive as one community of friends. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're all here.
I'm not all here.
No? Wait, are we all here? Are those people with us? We're all here. The next presenter is Rita, a professor at the University of Windsor, and she's going to present the next sculpture called Cordella.
All right. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Rita.
So, the question, where do we all come from, led Toronto-born artist Marion Kantaroff in her creation of Cordella, this round sculpture that resembles an egg or a seed, depending on the side you look at. Egg and seed are the very first cells, the germ cells that form a new plant, animal, or human. Both cells carry all the genetic information and fundamental parts that are necessary for a species to continue to exist. They are the base of all life and its origin. The survival of humans and many other species over thousands of generations was possible thanks to evolution. This fairly slow process that occurs over many generations and helps plants, animals, and humans to adapt to environmental changes. Where, you might wonder, is the connection between evolution and climate change? The connection that can be made is that the present and all future generations of humans and other living organisms are endangered because they cannot evolve fast enough to adjust to global climate change that began showing its effects only about 80 years ago. One of these effects is the destruction of the ozone layer that is caused by human activity. For 16,000 years, or 8,000 generations of Homo sapiens, the currently existing human species, meaning us, organisms living on the Earth were protected by this important layer in the upper atmosphere. But our generation and the generation of our parents and our grandparents managed to release greenhouse gases to such an extent that the ozone layer can no longer protect us from damage by solar, ultraviolet, or UV radiation. The damage UV radiation can cause to humans and other living organisms is manifold. It can damage cells in general, as well as the genetic material they carry. Cells that are exposed to direct UV radiation are especially at risk, as you all might know. Research studies suggest that melanoma and other skin cancers in fair-skinned humans are caused by UV exposure. It has also been shown that white people of European descent living at around 45 degrees north, which is roughly the latitude of Ottawa, are most vulnerable to skin cancer. Scientists also predict that by 2050, the skin cancer rate in fair-skinned people living at this latitude will increase by about 5%. An increase that we here in Windsor possibly have to face too, since our city is located at about 42 degrees north. So, when looking at this sculpture, the question that one might want to keep in mind is not so much where do we all come from as suggested by the artist, but where will this lead us all to, considering that cells, and I mean all cells and not just the skin cells of humans, are not adapted to what we, with our industries and lifestyle, created. A global climate that endangers all organisms living on this planet. Thank you.